My office design. In general, that I think that architecture is really important to me. Something inspiring like this, just kind of something that almost looks like it shouldn't be able to stand on its own foundation. Serves to be really inspiring to me. I think that my employees also would benefit from this kind of design. Some sculptural example here, where even though it may not be very functional, I can't quite tell if there's office space inside this sculpture, but something to really sort of give an idea of what the company is. As far as even just in general being a creative company, it's important to have that sort of look and provide that feel to not only your clients that come through, but also your employees. Having landscaping like this, I can imagine just going down into this little area here, reading a book, writing some, doing some writing, having some spaces like this that really involve the environment are really important, I think, as well. I would like to incorporate some, stone work as well. I think that it kind of gives the image of being a very stable sort of environment, kind of long term and not going anywhere, those sorts of things. But also, it's just a very sort of rich, feeling to have that stonework as well. And, and here, and kind of an organic merging of landscape and architecture. Almost looks like the building's coming out of the ground. I think it's really interesting to kind of mix these two areas of architecture and landscape. And I think that's the direction that a lot of inspiring works have come from. So, I would like to have my office space do something to this effect. Now, as far as meeting spaces go, I find it really interesting, some of these meeting spaces that have the glass that's between the small meeting space and the rest of the environment, or the rest of the office space, because even though the noise level is cut down and it's a private conversation, it feels like you're still kind of part of the whole office. You're not entirely closed off. And something like this, something where it feels expansive, feels impressive, feels artistic in general. I think that having these kinds of spaces can be really beneficial for getting those juices flowing. As far as personal spaces are concerned, it is really important to have quiet room. And I may end up just having a line of offices down a hallway that are similar to this. But definitely important to have that. Now, it doesn't always have to be an enclosed space like we have just seen on the behind picture, but here's another example of maybe a space where a lot of artistic design that's implemented, but it could be used in many ways. Like in this example, a gentleman's laying down and taking a nap, presumably. But you could also just come in here and get some work done. Just sit down on the couch or one of those chairs and really get some great work done, I would think, in these sort of more quiet areas. It's important to know that a lot of places, including my business, utilize remote work as well. So having an inspiring sort of environment at your home that not only utilizes the space efficiently, but also includes the elements that are necessary to feel like you're inspired within your own workspace at home. A lot of places, including my own home, aren't as artistic as I would probably like to see that I would become. So it would be interesting to use some sort of design like this, simplistic design like this. Also just to reiterate that, small, it doesn't always have to be just a quiet room just for a single individual. It could be smaller offices like this in a row. I do want to stay away from the open office design, however. It can get rather noisy, especially if you have people that are on the phone. Even though you might have, upgraded technology and multiple screens as shown here, it's not so conducive to focused work that's required, especially in software development. Now, research tells us that open design, generally is not suited for focus. so it's important to have those quiet areas, like I had reiterated previously. But I also found it interesting that one of the resources described it as, design is like being a programmer. You have to figure out the elements that are the requirements and the benefits that you're needing to take advantage of as far as the design space is concerned. So making sure that you are in touch with what your employees are requiring, or what they want to see in the design space is also a good idea. So and also this concept of getting rid of the paper. Just go electronic. At this point, it seems ridiculous. Unless you're actually in the paper manufacturing industry, you shouldn't be producing more paper waste. You should be reducing your paper waste. So, and not only does it offer, ways to be green, sort of conscious in that sense, but also it just removes all that extra clutter, makes things easier to find, that sort of thing. So it's really important to kind of do that spring cleaning. Also, as far as just general and remote work is definitely the way of today and the way of the future. More and more home offices are springing up. More and more remote conferencing solutions are getting better. So really, the focus needs to be on remote work. Now, if you do have an office space, it is a pretty good idea to kind of make this office space feel like home. It might even attract some people that otherwise would work at home, and maybe even facing challenges with focus at home, be able to come into the office but still feel like it's home. Now, a good way to do that is to bring in pets. This is actually a trend that I've been seeing a lot of office spaces developing policies surrounding, bringing in pets to work. Here's another example of a cute little guy while the gentleman's on the phone in the background. So you can see how, pets, of course, we all know enrich our lives. And being able to bring them into your office space is actually quite a benefit as well. Like here's an example of the one, where the cat's always on the keyboard with you, that sort of thing. But it's equally important to understand the cleanliness needs of your pet. So if you do decide to bring in your pet, it's probably a good idea to make sure that they have a cat box if they need one, that sort of thing. Make sure it's clean most of the time. As far as, I think that it's really important also to include mission and vision within the workplace, including things like murals like this. But, you could be more focused on what the company is actually, designed to doing, as far as portfolios with projects that you're working on, that sort of thing, can be displayed in a nice way to keep people, reminding them of why it's such a great place to work. Now, as far as positions and perks, generally speaking, that the software development company would require software developers and project managers. However, I am going to be utilizing an open management style so that each individual can contribute as much or in any area that they desire, up to a certain extent, and that there will be some sort of election process that will occur either at the beginning of a project or for administrative sort of duties that are required across the business. So, even though I would say that my focus is generally on software developers and project managers, there's room for graphical designers and all sorts of other positions that may arise as, determined by the particular project that we get on. Also, I think it's important if you do have an office space, is to bring in free food and drinks for your employees. And good healthy options, not just, potato chips and candy bars and coffee. It should really be full, good meals. Even if you bring in a caterer or something like that, catering service that only comes in once or twice a day, something like that. I think it's a really great idea to make sure that your employees are well fed and keep those neurons firing. In general, that they, I would be offering other things like professional enrichment and cross-discipline training. I think that's one thing that's lacking in a lot of workplaces is this lack of focus on on improving the employees' education and or really just maybe company-specific cross-discipline training. More that everybody knows about everybody else's job, the more that they understand, some new tips and tricks within their industry, the better that they are suited to handle upcoming projects. And here's my references. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day.